Hello, and welcome to Message in the Middle with Marianne. We all know that life is hard, right? It's messy, it's unpredictable, but it can be wonderful all at the same time. My hope is that we can take a deep dive into self-development topics and explore life's lessons through book clubs, conversations, and interviews. And together, we can uncover the lessons that others have already learned to help us navigate this crazy, wonderful ride called life. Hello and welcome to Message in the Middle. Thanks for choosing to spend some time with me. I've had a couple of pretty eventful weeks, so I thought I would just take a minute to give you an update on what's been going on in my life and some of the things I've been thinking about. So getting past the holidays is always a little bittersweet for me. I love the holidays and all the special events that land at the end of the year, but the whole fourth quarter can become kind of a blur. It's event after event, and most of it is hosted here. We have birthdays, anniversaries, Thanksgiving, then Christmas. I've talked about that a little bit before, so it's kind of a mad dash. It's fun, but it's very busy as well. So as much as I love all those things and all the celebrations and time with extended family and friends, often by the time January rolls around, I'm ready for a bit of a reset and a little bit of a slow down on the pace of life. This year, though, January's off to a big start and far from quiet. Right out of the gate was New Year's, my birthday, and then the Message in the Middle Vision Board community meetup, which were all great. And it was great to see some of your faces. It was nice. It was a nice small group. And I wanted to be able to do this because it was requested specifically. And it's always great to be able to get together and brainstorm and show each other what we're working on, set goals together or talk about them together, that kind of stuff. So that was a good session. And that was a great start to the new year, but busy, right? And I had other things planned, and then something that wasn't planned. As we got closer to the next planned event, which was my first trip to participate in Podfest, and I'll get back to that with more in a minute, my poor cat Belle got really sick and 2 days later passed away. And now I don't keep it a secret that I'm not really a big animal lover. I mean, I don't hate them or anything. Hold your booze. Hold your daggers. No, seriously, I don't really hate them. It's just that I'm allergic to some of them, like dogs. I can't really be around dogs. I'm allergic to them. And I just never really got into other animals. In fact, growing up, we lived in the country and we had animals in the yard. We even had horses. But I just never really had any interest. They were my sister's thing. I always say I'm a city girl, even though I lived in the country, because all of the things city really excite me. It's not country. It's more city-ish. I like the big lights and the big buildings and the commotion and watching people and all those kinds of things. And I don't know, country life just wasn't something that truly excited the inner me. Now, that may seem odd because I grew up here, I settled here. But those of you that know my backstory and, all the things, I became a mom at 20. So while the city really excites me and my dreams always had me positioned living in New York City, where I live is a great place to raise children in the country. But anyways, back to my poor Belle. So I didn't grow up being an animal person. And even as an adult, you can usually find cats and dogs and goats and chickens and sometimes turkeys, pigs, bunnies, even an occasional raccoon when it needs rescuing. But still, personally, I don't have a lot of interest. But with Belle, it was different from day one. So Belle was my youngest daughter's cat, and she got him when she was 18 and moved out for the first time. But 2 short years later, he was living with me. And yes, I said he, because Belle is a boy. Remember, I didn't name him. But anyway, when he moved into my house, it was really love at first sight. He was a long-haired coon cat. He was born as a barn cat, but he was such a people person, or a people cat, I guess I should say. He was cuddly, and he listened to me better than most dogs listen to their owners. For the next 10 years, Belle would tell me when he wanted to go outside, when he wanted to come in, eat, snuggle, whatever. If I told him to get out of a room or come into one, he would listen. If he went outside to play and I called him, he would come running. I could have swore he understood full English. Belle would sit in the office with me all day, every day, just quietly chilling on his bed while I worked, and occasionally come over for a rub, but I always knew he was there. He was a good cat. And honestly, I miss him way more than I ever thought I would. I know that sounds awful, but I'm just being honest. And based on what I told you already, I'm not really an animal lover. We've had other family pets, and sure, it was definitely sad when they left us, but this is different. I think about Belle every day now. I miss him when I get up in the morning and he doesn't run over to get fed. I miss him when I walk past my office and don't see him laying in his bed. I miss him when I come home and he doesn't run to the door to meet me. There's an emptiness in those moments and a bittersweet memory from all the years that he was there. But there's something else though, too. I'm feeling a little bit of regret because even though Belle was always well taken care of, always loved by many, I didn't always spend the time I wish I had with him. Sometimes I was too rushed and I ignored him when he was trying to nudge me for attention. Sometimes I was too impatient with him when he tried to climb up on my desk or lap if I was busy doing something else. And sometimes I didn't greet him with the same enthusiasm as he greeted me. And boy, did I get aggravated by the hair everywhere. I mean, he was a long-haired cat. It was beautiful, but he shed everywhere. On my pants when he rubbed against me, on the floor that I had to clean up all the time. If you have furry pets, you know the drill. It just gets everywhere. And if I'm being completely honest, over the 10 years, that definitely aggravated me more than once. I can't change any of that, but it is a reminder that life is short. I mean, we hear that all the time, but sometimes it smacks us in the face. Life can end at any time, without warning, without notification, without time to plan, without time to say goodbye. And we can't take the people or things we love for granted ever. And for Belle's sake, I'm working even harder to keep that in my thoughts every day, front and center. So I try to get the most out of the time I have left with all the people that matter most to me. I think we often get caught up in the day-to-day and we can forget about that. So I'm just trying to be very, very aware. And I'm using that reminder to set more boundaries with things like doom scrolling on social media, trying to limit that stuff more and instead prioritize the time with the most important people in my life. You know, sometimes I'll be laying in bed and find myself looking at my phone and spending too much time on my phone, and my husband's sitting there beside me. He's doing his own thing too. And I think it's important to take note of those times and now trying to minimize them because we're getting older and life is getting shorter. So I just want to make the most of it. I want to try to make as many moments count as I can and be as intentional as I can. All right, well, moving on to something else because I didn't come on here to talk to you and try to make everybody depressed, but I did want to share that poor Belle passed away and what I'm taking from that because I do think there's a lesson in everything. And I just wanted to share that reminder because I think it's an important one. But listen, let's switch gears. Let's move into something way more fun. Let me tell you about Podfest. So a week after I lost poor Belle, I headed out to something I had been looking for almost a year. Podfest 25 in Orlando. Some of you guys heard me talk about it before, and it's a gathering of over 2,000 people that are in some way tied to podcasting, public speaking, publishing, or book writing. It was 3 days of nonstop mini masterminds with some of the best and brightest in their field, along with thousands of people like me who are at all different points in their creativity journey, but looking to learn more and get better and build community. And Podfest did not disappoint. We learned, we laughed, we built relationships, and it was everything I had hoped for and more, really. In addition to the specific things I learned about podcasting or publishing a book, which I want to do at some point, I also took away a few universal reminders that I just want to share those with you. So the first thing I want to mention is that leading up to Podfest, as excited as I was also really scared and anxious. And, I had to keep reminding myself that that is often how you feel when you're pushing outside of your comfort zone and growing. It's kind of odd that I was so nervous because I've been going to corporate conferences in the financial services and industry for years. I've even spoken at some, but this was different. This was not a crowd that really knew me, not a space where I was an expert, and this was an actual investment in me and in my dreams with my own money. It wasn't something that was being funded by somewhere I worked for or something that would help me in my quote unquote day job. This was all about my own creative endeavors. And boy, did that make me feel a little anxious. That leads me to my next reminder. Find your people or your community. Thankfully, there were a few people I already knew from New England Podcasters Group, like Amy and Andy and Julie and Lou, and they really helped me feel surrounded and safe. And there were others like Brigitte and Jenny and Kate and Martin, who I got to know, spent a lot of time with, and who I hope to continue to foster relationships with through the monthly New England Podcasters Group. It's a great community. We learn from each other. We cheer each other on. We call people out on their stuff in a loving way and help each other grow. You guys, I know I sound like a broken record on this topic, but this is the type of community that's so important. I cannot stress that enough because your family, your friends from school, or your kids' friends, parents, they might be prominent in your life, but they won't always be on the same page. They won't always understand your dream. They won't always understand why you're pursuing something. And that's okay. That is okay, but it's critical. It's critical to find a tribe or at least a handful of special people who are like-minded, share interests, are reflective and growth-minded, and who will be honest with you, support you, inspire you, and help you grow, who really see you, the real you, who really get you. And that can look different for everyone. It can be a group. It can be just a handful of people, not in a group together. It can be multiple groups or communities, virtual, in person, a mix. It doesn't matter, but life will get exponentially fuller in all of the heart-filled ways once you find your community. And I have to say, Podfest did not disappoint in that area. Everyone was fully accepted who they were, the real them, and could show up without any of the masks, without any of the norms, just be themselves, grow, be inspired, just have fun. And it was really a great experience. The next universal reminder that hit me is not something I learned exclusively at Podfest. It's something I've built my career around, to be honest, but it was something that got validated over and over at Podfest. Relationships matter. Yeah, the sessions were great and the information that you could learn and take away from the experts was plentiful. And honestly, if you had to pay for it, it would be way too expensive. But the thing that was worth the most were the relationships, whether they were new relationships or existing relationships that were getting stronger, the relationships being built in the hallways, over drinks or dinner, in the exhibit hall, in the common areas. They were worth far more than the content in the actual mastermind sessions. They will be nurtured for years to come, and they'll be leveraged over and over. So the lesson is relationships matter, relationships first. Speaking of people and relationships, it's also worth noting that people are more alike than they are different. Humility matters, and you can learn from anyone, even the biggest name on the agenda, which at first glance may seem intimidating, may seem out of your league, may seem more different than alike. But the truth is, they're just like you and I. And that's one of the things that showed up over and over and over at Podfest, and one of the reasons I would recommend it to anyone. The biggest names were humble enough to be in some of the same sessions I was sitting in. They were asking questions of other speakers and learning right alongside of everyone else. The keynote speaker, for example, yeah, he mastered lots of things already. Yes, he was a multimillionaire. Yes, he knew how to do this podcasting thing really well and to build a business around it, scale. But he's also just like everyone else and trying to learn new things and find a path to the desired outcome. And finding someone else that went before him that knows the steps is always the way to go. They're going to help you. I've said it before, but I think it's worth reiterating because even the millionaires that were there, They were sitting there surrounding themselves with people that were trying to do the same thing that they were trying to do or had done it already. And they were learning from those people. We can all learn lessons and take messages from people that have gone before us. Lastly, I guess I want to remind you to go after your dreams. Try something new. Be open to where the path leads you, because it might present an opportunity you never even thought of. Over and over and over and over, I heard story after story after story from people that had the desire to do something different, to chase a dream they had let go of for years, who were brave enough to step in the ring and try to figure it out along the way, and who have found so much more than they ever even imagined just because they took the chance. All in all, Podfest was a huge success. I enjoyed it a ton. I would definitely go back again. I can't go next year because I actually have a commitment around the same time frame, but I really enjoyed it. So I guess my recommendation is, if you are into podcasting or publishing, it's a great place to go and to be yourself and find community. But if that's not your jam, then find something else. Whether that's a group of folks that like to play tennis or that like to knit or that want to build pottery, make soap, play pickleball, I don't know, create a business for whatever it is. There are people out there just like you trying to do the same things. People out there that have already done the same things and they're a step ahead of you. Find those people. Surround yourself with those people. Be in the proximity of them, at least on a regular basis, even if it's not every day. I promise you, it will fill you up. It will give you some passion and some drive to pursue it, whatever it is, whether it's an activity, whether it's a dream career that you never had, whether it's about weight loss or fitness, whatever it is. Surround yourself, find some people, find a tribe that can share in those same kind of dreams and same kind of goals and help you pursue yours. I guess that's it for today. I wanted to just take a minute to share some of my thoughts around what I took away from Podfest beyond the specifics around podcasting and such, which I did get some, but I really just wanted to share the whole experience, from being nervous about going, from pushing beyond that, from finding my tribe, and finding a group of people that really inspires me, because I wish that for all of you. If this episode resonated with you at all, or any of the episodes of Message in the Middle, I would so appreciate it if you could share it with a friend. I'm going to leave you with a quote from Mark Twain. 20 years from now, you will be more disappointed by the things you didn't do than by the ones you did. So throw off the bow lines, sail away from the safe harbor, and catch the trade winds in your sail. Explore, dream, and discover. Have a fabulous week, you guys. Come back next week. I have a great guest and you're going to love the conversation. Talk to you soon. Thank you for listening to this episode of Message in the Middle with Marianne. If you enjoyed the podcast, please take a minute to share it and write a review, as it helps bring new listeners to our audience. If you'd like to keep the conversation going between episodes, please join us at Facebook group Message in the Middle with Marianne.